Everyone, and welcome. I am wisdom teacher Sri Ram Ka.
And I am Master Lady Kira Ra, and welcome, beloved ones. These are our 200-year-old doors here in our little apartment, and we are coming to you from a very hot summer day. Our intention had been to be with you live inside the Pyramid of Peace. And you know, the good news really is that we have so many people flooding the property to come connect in reverent celebration that we opted to stay here rather than interrupt their flow. And I'm sure all of you can appreciate that. And so in this moment, Sri, do we have a Pyramid of Peace photo we can just put up and invite everyone that maybe we could share? Yeah, let's put up, there we go. So in this moment, we're just sharing this with you as we begin today, because you've probably noticed that today has a very interesting energy into it, right? We're inviting us to pay attention to the Ascension Renaissance, or the actual witnessing of the degradation or the deconstruction, so to speak, of the consciousness that has supported us to be this way so far. And we are so excited when you gaze into the Pyramid of Peace here. If you can feel the brilliance to your left there, those are those compadre mountains that we're always talking about. And this beautiful graphic was made by our beautiful India, who is here on site every weekend, working with hundreds and hundreds of people every day. We are just so grateful. And so as we come together in this moment, on this beautiful, glorious Sunday, we are grateful that you are here. Yes. We are grateful that this moment has arisen. We are grateful that with every breath, we are one breath beyond where we have ever been before. So before we share everything we need to share with you today, remember, if you're over there live at Official Sri and Kira YouTube, Jess Jutin's in there monitoring your questions. She will get them to us. We have lots to share, but where we take it, you help co-create. So Sri, why don't we go into the mantra and a depth of connection and really get ready to receive this extraordinary moment together.
You know, one of the things I wish to remind us all is that presence is a choice. To be present, to be here now, to be heart-centered and available. Let's make that choice together and feel the community that has gathered here.
Let's do that.
If it's safe to do so, bring a hand to your heart, perhaps even close your eyes, and be where your body is right now. And we're going to breathe the Ave Sa breath, noticing the divine energy on the inhale. Ave, hail to the divine. And releasing all resistance, all need to control. Sa on the exhale.
With a smile.
And add the smile, because that conditions the positivity. Yeah. Here we go. Big breath in. Ave.
Ah. And I want to jump in because I can't let that go, that nothing conditions anything. What your smile does is it sends a clear signal to the universe that says, I am here.
Yes.
Right? Ave is the inhale. Hello, beautiful divine. Sa, the exhale of the infinite presence of that which I am. That is the Renaissance itself. When Avesa first stepped onto this planet, which happened way back when at Tosa Ranch, New Mexico, on a beautiful day when my beloved husband, I wake up in the morning, I put on this beautiful sari, and I look at my husband and say, I have no idea why, but I need to go be in our temple alone and just stay there. And emerging from that after a very long while was all of the blessings that Helena Blavatsky herself, I was so blessed to receive, to not even know who this being was with this strong accent, and really hearing about the energy of Ave Sa, about how all of the ancient Tibetans and Tulkus had been with this energy in the late 1800s, how when it came in, they foresaw the rise in the manipulation of technology that would happen in the 1900s. So between 1900 and 1999, the Ascended Masters themselves were aware that the energy of Avesa was too sacred and too power-filled in the hands of a divine mastery presence, that to be on the planet from those years was too great a risk. And so it wasn't that it was not here. It was just dormant is the word that the masters always come forward with. Now, why is this important for this moment right now? How did we arrive at this ascension renaissance, at this moment of destruction or creation in a way that we have not been before? Well, the first thing that happened was when Ave Sa came back, when it was birthed onto the planet again at the end of 2002 and really rapidly escalating up through 2004, it assisted to bring in a breath that is profoundly, and I really have to let you feel that, profoundly linked with your divine mastery presence. When Shri and I met in 2002, the Egyptian healing rods were the very first thing that came to us. And they had started coming to us right before we met, literally. But the first rods that ever were sent to us from our dear friends in Russia came after we got together. We weren't married yet. We had just moved in together at my home in Colorado. And so this is a profound, a profound moment of the rods come in, Avesa comes in, balancing the body into the self-ascended state arises again. Yes. Imagine literally the headwater that Shri and I have been wading through for 20 years, waiting for consciousness to catch up. Imagine what it was like back then, inviting people to understand the concept of your infinite presence, to go beyond the paradigms that say a chakra must be round, it must look like this planet, it must function this way, it must be this energy, versus I, the divine mastery presence, have the ability to stabilize that energy in the infinite form while in this body. But you see, all of that did something. It preceded, literally, it was like little Shri and Kira apple seeds, right? That we ourselves were not even consciously aware that the masters were asking us to do. And I'm grateful you're hanging with us, because this timeline's important, and you need to hear this timeline because it brought us to right where we are right now. Navigating these moments, having the masters start sharing. Meanwhile, the frequency of Ave Sa is getting broader on the planet. There is a greater rise of stability, a greater rise of awakened presence. However, as we move through this potentiality of consciousness, the rising Kali Yuga energy has so much predominance and so much press and so much support that it actually, in this potentiality, has called forward a moment of infinite creative potentiality in a conscious form, unlike one we have had before. And that was why all those years ago, when Shri and I looked at each other and said, oh my God, and he looked at me and said, I don't think you're pretty at all. And God knows I don't want to be near you. And I looked at him and was like, oh, you're so amazingly wisdom filled. I don't know if I can be around you, right? When we got together, what happened, as you've read in Sacred Union, The Journey Home, and if you haven't, go read it again or buy it and read it, was that the process that brought us to this moment of potentiality for Shri and I, and for all of you that have been working with self-ascension as well, began in 2002. And here we are in 2022, getting ready to move into a culminating moment where 2023 is the open eye of the storm, the open eye of the storm. And I'm just going to pull up the hard copy for a minute, because you're going to want to take notes. Message 8 of the Lost Books of the Essene. My beloved Sri Ramka this morning and I were sharing that this was this specific experience that was gifted by the Ascended Realms was first gifted in 2009. And in 2009, we were out there working with the Mayan and being with all of the beings who were saying, if our messages are corrupted, if our messages are being used for profitability, if the people who just want to get rich and famous are using us, that is going to set the tide for a massive polarity shift. Just saying. And this is all in our books that were written at that time. And as we have come forward now, Shri and I, right at very much around this time, because this series, The Lost Books of the Unseen, actually came in around the world. We were traveling so much during the time that these books were coming in that they came in very powerful places around the planet. Yeah. And this specific one actually came in New Mexico, where Avesa all began, where Helena Blavatsky came forward, where all of the other energies came, where Shri built his first pyramid. So in this moment of October right now, we're inviting you to bring your hands to your heart and to invite a conscious, really conscious recognition within yourself to notice what you're noticing from your ascended presence, and to remember, to sincerely call forward and remember that in this moment, right now, you are capable, and if you gaze at this graphic, you are capable of holding and sustaining ninth dimensional frequency as the witness carrying that eternal smile of the transcendent awakened presence in this form. Fully aware of the law of instantaneous manifestation, fully aware that you are simultaneously very much cognizant, sane, alert, and clear of this potentiality of your waking presence, yet having anchored the ascended presence into the space of being that ignites the harmonic frequency of humility. The harmonic frequency of humility is extraordinarily different than the false humility of this planet. The harmonic frequency of humility is the living action of your life. It's Mother Teresa sincerely had the harmonic frequency of humility. It's just that constant movement of, okay, I get this is happening and I'm doing this because it's just the right thing to do. The harmonic frequency of humility never asks if it's profitable, never asks if it's going to make me rich, wealthy, or famous. The harmonic frequency of humility is sincerely abundant, always manifested, because it's coming through with the full force of universal presence. Now imagine each of us living that way together. Imagine the co-creative potentiality of this planet right now if we all did that. That's what today's show is all about. Yeah. And you're already living it. And I know you're already feeling it, right? So let's take a breath.
Wow.
Yeah.
Even the word Renaissance inspires a sense of excitement that more light, more innovation, more creation, more beauty, more. All the boundaries are dissolving and the radiance is coming through. And a spiritual Renaissance is just that. It is a resurrection energy. It is a renewal. It is the opportunity to become and fully embodied as that which you are.
Breathe that in, to fully embody that which you are. And, we are also fully embodied that I have a French bulldog who's going to destroy my door if my husband doesn't let him out. So while he lets him out, I'm going to share with you something that is really important in this moment. And that is this month. Oh my gosh, look at this month. So here we are. The October Mastery Activation. Remember that this month is all about the experience. Now, as we're gazing at this calendar, I also want to put something really important in front of you, and that is going to be Sunday the 30th. You want to mark that on your calendar right now, because Shri and I, our Sunday service is, remember, always the first and third Sunday of every month. However, on those bonus 5 Sunday months, which this one is on the 30th, we will be offering a 15-minute short, focused, what's going on in November revelations, along with a little bit more about 2023, because it's time to know it all. So make a note, because the experience of this month is all about what? Releasing those limited beliefs, releasing the habits of scarcity and the doubt of who you are. And remember, it's a month full of Wednesdays. So here we are this week. Is this exciting? This just feels to me, Shri, like that big, if you bring your eyes back and you kind of gaze into like the center there around the 5 and the 12, it almost looks like a speaker. You know, in some respects, doesn't it remind you of like that old speaker energy, right?
It
You know,
has
you're old
that.
enough to remember the big speakers.
Yeah, I can see that, but I'm just digging the portal that's there.
The eye,
and
right?
eye,
The open eye. And so this week, Mercury is actually finally saying goodbye. And what's so good about that is reunions, remembrances, reconnections, everything that you've been getting ready to put together. 18, 19, and 20, go, go, go. And if you look at that little kind of beautiful light there, that's just underneath the line of the 17th on the 24th. And if you look at Wednesday, the 26th, the final Wednesday of this month, everything right now, let's just let him outside, please.
He doesn't want to go.
Okay. Everything right now is all about you. And I mean you deciding, what am I resurrecting into? Everyone is in a state of resurrection. The entire experience of who we are is in a state of resurrection. The potentiality of this moment is something we have never done before. So we're literally like we resurrect into it with every breath. And this is the power of the Renaissance, because without the Dark Ages, there is no Renaissance. And so back in 2009, when the lost books of the Essene were being delivered, when message 8 came in, and this message, by the way, is very profound, and we're gonna share it with you. You want to get your pen, and we want to get your questions. We're going to be checking on those in a moment. There were 4 journeys of humanity.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2009, when these were first delivered at Tosa Ranch, New Mexico, the Essene brethren at that time, when they shared that, were encoding. And it brings us back to what I was sharing with you earlier about the preceding, right? So in 2010, these came in 2009. Sri and I had traveled the whole world. We had all these books out there. We saw what was happening. We were being guided. We were given a lot of visions that we've never discussed. We were living with the arcane that we're just starting to reveal. We decided that based upon the visions that were shown to us, based upon this potentiality, that we were going to go just live as authentically as possible. And that the only way to do that was to really honor, as we were guided to do, our indigenous brethren that were living south of North America. Many things we've seen around North America, we have yet to talk about. Some of them are in the upcoming book, not all. But what we will share is that because of that potentiality, and because of and gets a little play on words, right? Because of the potentiality of this potentiality, we wound up here. And we wound up with you right now.
Yeah.
And then COVID hit. Remember COVID?
Oh, yeah.
Remember, right? All right, let's go back to when it really hit, 2019. So the 4 journeys, what happened during COVID was that you, our beautiful community, and we still gather on the 2nd and 4th Monday of every month, right? Sri and I were on with you every day. We were together every day. We were praying together. We were laughing together. We were living together. We were in retreat together as the world went into lockdown. And we birthed the Monday Mastery experience. And one of the gifts that the Ascended Masters came through with during that time was that it was time for Sri and I to get to work unlocking and allowing the seeds that were planted before 2010 to begin flourishing and blooming for the world. And that brings us to the 4 journeys. And this PDF is free. It's at our website. We're going to share these 4 journeys with you specifically as to how they relate to this moment right now. Because in 2009, when they were first given, and in December 2021, 1 year ago, they felt more appropriate for this moment than ever before. And in this moment, as we are still not through October, and as building up to this June Egyptian experience matters, there is so much happening. There is the New Year's experience that will rise, the 2023 Rising Storm, which is why we will do our first ever live ensoulment New Year's Eve from the pyramid. And then, of course, everything else, those of you that the masters of you that are here during New Year's, get here, we're almost full. And then moving forward into that June Egypt and the June solstice matters. So let's look right now. I want to just kind of cap it off for you right here at the We don't have the October Ascended numerology. Forgive me. That's
Oh.
September's chart.
I'll get it.
Okay, so no worries. So rather than showing you these, I don't want to take the time. So rather than showing you the Ascended numerology, what I'll share with you is this. Go look at it yourself. It's at our website, shrinkara.com. If you subscribe to the Sedona Journal, it's in there. Melody publishes it. Go look at it. Go look at what's happening this month, because it's all about manifesting the truth of your vision. If you have held on to the truth, if you have been a fearless warrior of the truth, if you have said, okay, you know, I know that maybe I took a hit over here or something happened over here, but at the end of the day, this is a transient life that doesn't matter. What matters is just, even if I'm an army of one, the truth is the truth, as Gandhi always says. If that's been it, then you're going to love this moment. And you're loving October. Remember, we've been talking about this all month. October is very much heaven or hell. And it's been all about the pyramid within the pyramid. So let's breathe that in. Yeah, there we are.
So one of the things I want to remind us is that we all have this wonderful brain, the brain of density, that we use as a way of interpreting and contextualizing our experience. And one of the fundamental qualities of ascension, of upliftment, is that our context for our experience begins to widen. It's as if when you're down close to the road, everything is chaotic and it's moving really fast. And when you lift your gaze and look further out the windshield, things are a little quieter. And get in an airplane and look up at the earth, and all of a sudden your scope becomes much more transcendent. Now, the reason I remind you of this is it's essential that we witness ourselves witnessing in order to uncover the revelation of what is truly there, as opposed to what is saturating our perception.
There you go.
So take that in for a moment, because our lives, especially when they're dominated by our first personality, which is that ego self,
there it is.
Our lives become somewhat predictable, that there is a certain context in the way we interact and view things. And this is why I wanted to mention that word context. As we relax into our essence, our authenticity, our context for experience is actually connected more cosmically than worldly. And this allows us to bring through wise decisions. It allows us to make choices that are more transcendent. And the first step of that is we tend to be align greater principles and a longer view. But I'm reminding you of this because as we are about to talk with the cosmic Essene,
really breathe that in. It's a gift.
The energy that they represent, we refer to as Essene.
Just breathe that. And notice the difference, right? Quick Archangel Zodkill sharing, bringing a hand to your heart, close your eyes. I'm just going to offer you a word, okay? And just notice, no judgments, just notice. Essene. 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 Taking in a deep Ave Sa breath. Essene. 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 Taking in a breath.
Essene is a way that is more accurately representing the truth of the energy. There is that flow, that expansion. And I'm sure you felt that as you heard the words.
What's so nice is it takes it from the mental to the experiential.
Yes.
It's the recognition through that harmonic of humility. And it offers a mastery experience of the words. When we receive the words of the masters in the energy that is intended, that receptivity awakens many of the things within our bodies. Often that's why they might cry, or they might even fall asleep. When you fall asleep, that's merely your body saying, this energy is so different and so big for me that the only way I can currently receive it is to fall asleep. And so sometimes people ask me and I, hey, if I'm falling asleep, is there something wrong? No, it means fall asleep, but keep listening. Let it receive. You remember, our nervous systems of this physical body must adapt in order for us to receive and maintain our ascended mastery presence.
Yeah. And as we allow ourselves to really be with the ascended energies. We open the contextual understanding of why we're here. Why did we take birth? And I'm not going to fill in the blank there. It's essential that we are open.
But we could. And so let's dive in. And while we're diving in, I noticed Jess was typing. We're going to get to all of you in just a minute. So remember, if you do have a question, pop it in over at YouTube. Shri and I are not there. We only communicate right here. So Shri, let's jump in, because I think it's important. So remember, this is the 8th message of the Essene, the Lost Books of the Essene. Where do you find all these? You go to SriAndKira.com, just SriAndKira.com. And right up at the top, it says Ensouled Messages. When you hover over that, oh my goodness, all the series come in. You want to click on the Lost Books of the Essene. But we want to take you through the 4 points. And I want to invite you to bring your hands to your heart and relax, because this is really important. We're really dedicating this time and inviting you to receive. Open your heart, expand your vision. Let's heal the world. Yeah.
So by way of preparing us to be in the most harmonious way of receiving and discerning, let us take a breath and continue to breathe. I'm going to read one paragraph to you to prepare us. As you walk through this life experience and expand through this, there are many energies now that are centered upon the resurrection of the energy of true, present, joyous knowing. True, present, joyous knowing.
You know, there's a whole teaching in those 4 words.
Yes.
There really is. So in this moment, let's just really receive the gift of that.
And as we breathe that in, so simple, so profound, and so true. These 4 words, true, present, joyous, and knowing, when put together in a phrase, they arise from a heart that is anchored in its authenticity. Free from the 4 energies that would seek to take you from that journey.
So feel that, because to be free from the energies that are seeking to take means that they are created and bound to density. Remember that it is the gift through the sacred sequence of incarnation that we arrive in this specific planet of potentiality, in this specific experience of the way that we call forward the time. So the fact that you are here right now is not an accident. The fact that we are sharing this with you in this moment is not an accident, because these were preceded should this moment have arisen, and they were unlocked to be of service now. So these 4 gifts that Shri is preparing to show and that we are sharing with you, we're going to give you the highlights. We're going to talk about them just a little bit, but remember, all of these are born of density. Right? Virtually everything here is born of density until we are able to lift and stand from that 5th dimensional waiting room, as Archangel Zadkiel calls it, and claim the lack of judgment that invites us to fully stand, arise, and anchor the 7th dimensional presence as that freedom being. So breathing that in and knowing that truth, as I know you do, let's give you the first one.
The first gift
of
the 4 journeys.
There it is.
Here's the quote that will take you there. Beloved angels of divine light and presence, with every breath that you enjoy, the first energy that is a gift and would also seek to stop reunion and resurrection is the gift of the body.
Now, let's just stop right there. Breathe that in. I want you to consider that, and many of you know, and Shri and I are right here. If you haven't read it yet, go to our biographies or go to the things about us at SriAndKira.com. But the body will be terrified of you claiming your power. The body of form only exists here. Remember that in a world where everything is kind of a reflection that's upside down, to believe that to ascend and it means that you must physically leave this body and die, to do that is literally the reverse of the truth. We are here to ascend into our divine mastery presence while carrying this form in full conscious awareness. And that is the mastery of the yoga of self-ascension. And that is a rare potentiality that we are living in, which is why Shri and I were basically called up out of retirement to be talking about this ascension renaissance, because unless the leap of that consciousness is made, how many of you are sitting in a chair unable to move, in extreme pain? Your body is constantly in trouble. We all move through that. And what it is a moment for your body to believe that you, the master, are really here. You want to AMI it?
Yeah, what I want to say is that the body gives you the capacity to have a relationship with density.
Yes, yes, yes.
That's different than believing you are the density. So take that in.
Yes.
The body is a gift. It gives us the opportunity to have a relationship in this physical world and to walk with and experience, etc.
Now, Shri, I want to go to one of our questions.
Sure,
right now.
absolutely.
And the reason I want to go to this question right now, not to interrupt you or anything, but number one, I think this is a question a lot of people are asking. And number two, I think it's also got a lot to do with this physical body and the four things that we're talking about. Because remember, dogma is one of them. I mean, we can give you the list really quickly, but I think you and I need to answer these questions.
Go for it. Read it.
Okay. So the first one that I want to call in is from Ano Niem. Hola. Namaste. Hi, Shri and Kira. Why are the world leaders like Putin, et cetera, not affected by the new energies or the rise of consciousness? Because these people decide when some of the bombs might go off. So I want you to bring your hand to your heart. And this is such a great question, because the answer is they are. It's not one or the other. What is happening is that, and this is why we're talking about this today, these leaders are maintaining a level of consciousness that I'm going to let Shri talk about in a moment, that is based 100% on density consciousness. Remember, everyone's consciousness is awake. The question is, what are they awake to? The rising consciousness, what we are inviting you to see, what we are inviting others to do, global Minga, support global Minga. This rising consciousness right now that holds open the I am here as the sea of neutrality is a balancing force, and the only thing that will affect a level of consciousness. It's a giant ocean. That's why we call it the sea of neutrality. And that boat right now that carries the Putins and others like the Putin self and the rising energy of nationalism, the rising energy of only me, is because density consciousness right now is seeming very, very appealing. Remember, at the end of the day, when someone is afraid, they will give away their power. But when someone is terrified, they will give away their soul. And so the way to literally have the dark ages come forward is to have one dominant dogma. And I believe number 3, we were going to talk about the dogmas, that to have one rising dogma. And you see, we have several dogmas trying to be the rising dogma. And sometimes dogma is not about religion at all. It could be about a cult personality. It can be about a political leader. It doesn't matter. But whatever those dogmas are, they're all of density. And so the only way, because we've all done this before and we all know the way this ends. We don't have to talk about that. That makes no good for any of us, right? But the only way through it that we have not yet tried, and we have been gifted enough to have right now because enough of us are awake, is to sustain, hold, and invite others to discover the power of creation in the sea of neutrality. Did you want to talk a little bit about the consciousness or not?
Yeah, a little bit. I want to first point out that as human beings, when we're identified with our human nature than our divine nature, we learn through contrast.
There it is.
And how many of you, if you reflect back on your life's journey, that some of the greatest pains in your life became your greatest teachers? Right. They opened up discernment, wisdom, perhaps even taught you how to really forgive. And there is a liberating energy, yes? Well,
really. And when we look at Shri is so brilliant with working with all of the way to quantify consciousness and be able to assist people of different experiences of consciousness to interact with each other. Because sincerely, if we try to interact from any other way, every other negotiation is just the way we used to do things. And without applying consciousness, we're going to get the same results. Einstein's definition of insanity, right? Yeah. Okay. So in order for us to avoid that insanity, consciousness comes forward. And most political leaders, you were doing this the other day, you were discovering where. I know
Yeah.
we were talking about this.
Well, like Putin is calibrating at around 210 on Hawkins' scale of consciousness.
So if you want to go check out what that means, and we can talk a lot more about this, but it brings me to another question when you want. But did you have more to say about that? Because this is important.
Well, the only thing I wish to say at this time, and then there's some beautiful sharings that are going to come from the SCNA brethren that are spot on with your question.
Exactly. And another one, I want to get the second one
Okay,
in.
the thing I wish to underscore, when we start looking at people as objects, meaning we label them as you're at a lower level of consciousness or you're driven by fear, what we're doing is we're feeding our own ego to be able to feel more powerful and safe.
Right. And our own hierarchical thought process.
All of the artifacts that we impose upon density. So as we back up for just a moment, no judgment, just back up and say, forgive them, they know not what they do.
Love them, they know not what they do.
And breathe that in as a truth, not just a mantra. When we begin to really anchor in the state of being that can say those words authentically, I forgive them. They know not what they do.
Because it involves forgiving yourself.
And to be able to look in the mirror and say, I forgive myself. I'm doing the best I know how, given the state of consciousness I'm in at this time.
Breathe that in.
Practicing those ways of being with opens the doorway to your ascended presence to inform you, to love you, to support you and guide you more fully. We need to open that doorway.
We do.
Otherwise, we'll dance with polarities and cycle around.
Well, that brings us to the next question.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that, because here it is. This is from Kate. Hey, Kate, please comment on the truth allowing the positive possibilities, meaning on forcing form to accommodate desired reality versus energetic possibilities. How do we require from trying to force matter? So thank you for sharing that, because I was going to say the wording alone in this is something I would first look at, because this is just what we were talking about, and this goes back almost to the title of Hawkins' first book, Power versus Force, right?
Yeah.
True empowerment, divine mastery, presence doesn't need to force anything.
No.
It's all about our individual consciousness. And it's also letting go of any need of desire and instead inviting the vision to be shown. Meaning, imagine if right now, and you can do this, it's so easy, right? So imagine if at some point today, you're out for a beautiful walk, you're in a tub, you're swimming, whatever brings you joy. And rather than desiring something, inviting your divine mastery presence to reveal it to you, and then trust what you're seeing and receiving. Sri calls it that dismissible voice, and he's right, because oftentimes your divine mastery presence has been speaking with you, has been really trying to offer its best to you, and we doubt it. We dismiss it. We do everything we can, because it goes back to, and I'm going to pull us back to the four knowns. It goes back to the body. Part of your body is your emotions. Yeah. Part of your body, and we're going to talk more about that right now. But the reality is that all of this is not real. And that's a challenging statement to say, utilizing the words that are available in our forms of communication via this voice box. To say something isn't real triggers many other things. So why not relax and invite yourself to simply know, receive, and enjoy? If I'm the creator of this extraordinary experience of life, then let's create something amazing, because you are that powerful versus force. All right, let's keep going, Sri.
All right.
So number one, as a refresher, it's that body. Remember the body.
Your body is the first gift.
Yep.
And as a being of light in a physical form, the vessel, you become engaged with this body and the forgetfulness begins.
It's because of the body, the forgetfulness begins, because of the body's need for so many beautiful things that are the reason we choose this planet.
And we chose the forgetfulness.
This is all good.
This is all fun.
Remember, they're praising. Go read the whole thing. Go lesson 8, ShriNkira.com. Lost
All
Be Seen.
4 journeys. That was
There
the
it is.
first
That
one,
was
the
number
gift
1.
of the body. Here's the next one, is the belief structure that supports the body,
It
that
actually
springs from the body.
Mhm.
So consider for a moment, what are we talking about? Belief structures. Well, the beliefs are, I must eat at a certain time. I must breathe in a certain way.
I have to eat this to live. I have to be this way. I have to think this way.
And
right?
we've been trained to do what we believe will support our body.
Now, this goes back to the word you brought in earlier, which is conditioning. And that's why I had to strike it earlier.
Yeah.
Because we are conditioned from the minute. And this is why, remember the sacred sequence of incarnation, your essence, your eternal being chose this planet in this experience of time at the location you were born and the parents who birthed you. Everything is conspiring for you to wake up. And that's why these are 4 journeys and each one is a gift.
And so these are just a fundamental way of communicating that
Yeah.
your entire orientation
Yeah.
until you awaken to it is rising from the density. It's rising from the body and then the beliefs that come from that physical form.
Mhm.
Now that's going to include the fear of death.
Always, which is the greatest illusion of all, right? And the blessing for both Shri and I, which we never thought that would be part of our journey, is that we've both had so many near-death experiences that, honest to goodness, the greatest illusion of all is the fear of death.
And so it's important to breathe and be with. And in this beautiful ensoulment, they go on to talk about the 17 seconds of mastery and some other things that we won't have time to do together here.
But remember, like this is, for example, why I always have my 17 on. One of the things that we were told was get 17 little beads, wear them around. You know, these on my arms, each one is 17. The power of the 17 is that when you take the 1 with the 7, it becomes the infinite presence again and again and again. It's an ignition.
And so the oneness from which we birthed to which we are resurrecting back. This is a paradox. So I'm not gonna paint that one too big. I just want to say that the gift of the physical body and the belief systems that have arisen from the physical body are all interwoven. And so in that interweaving, when we bring in spiritual conversation, we tend to look at it through the lens of density. Even the word oneness is looked at through a belief system of what it ought to be.
Well, you know, I want to jump in because in our book, Sacred Union, The Journey Home, Shri and I believe it was our last chapter where we talked about the Yumi soul. And it was that final, really deep recognition of what was oneness and that sense of, am I losing a sense of identity?
There's you, there's me.
Well, and the recognition of the Yumi and in the greater context of the oneness. This is an important discernment. This is more than just reading something. This is very much an important discernment.
And that comes from those opening invitation of presence.
Right?
Of presence. Oneness is a gift that comes from the relinquishment of a belief system that is first attached to a physical body in a world of illusion.
Think of that. Read that again. That's really a good one. Let's underline that. Read that one again. Go ahead, Shri. I want to hear that one again.
Sure. Oneness is a gift that comes from the relinquishment of a belief system that is first attached to a physical body in a world of illusion.
Wow. See, that goes back to number 1, number 1, right? The body will do anything it can to keep you from attaining. How many times does pain become a limiting resource in one way or another? Rather than noticing, and this is why I went earlier to evasive medical intuitive training, because those of you that know that my husband is not only one of the world's most brilliant evasive medical, well, he is the world's premier evasive medical intuitive, but the ability to be able to see those connections frees the body from being afraid of you.
Yeah.
That if your body's acting out, because it knows you're one step closer to really being fully embodied.
And as we cultivate our trust in and perception of energy, we begin to recognize the underlying ocean that allows creation to bubble up and be witnessed and danced with.
And to forgive yourself if it comes up again, right? I just want to put up a really quick share screen before we continue here to remember, hey, I can forgive me that I am once again looking at one of these moments of fear, one of these moments of doubt or hesitancy. But I want you to look through, you see the word self-sabotage, look through that. You see, that's you, the eternal you as the 0 point generator itself of the torus field of creation. This cycle, you're just sitting there watching, but that cycle you can release and thereby call forward the fullness of your eternal 0 point generator, which is exactly what we've done, because that's the yoga of self-ascension, and that's what you're capable of doing too.
And so as we get ready to receive the third gift, I want to just remind you that all of these words and concepts are creations of the brain of density. And consider for a second, the words Elohim, angels, God, divine, ascended masters. Release all the words and simply allow the energy to be.
Yeah.
You are all one energy.
There it is.
The names arose from the belief structure. And as we relax and into the one energy, we recontextualize so that our brain doesn't run tyrannical, and we begin to allow the expansion to accelerate.
It brings such a smile up for me, Shri. I was reflecting upon how just recently Shri and I were up at the Biblion chapel here in Ecuador, where they have a beautiful Virgin Mary, and we had all kinds of experiences. And the reason I'm bringing that up is when you and I, Shri and I have spent, as you all know, extensive time in India, extensive time in Asia, really like our second home. And the one thing that I always find so beautiful is that all throughout Asia, you either run into Kuan Yin,
yes,
or you run into a Saraswati, or you run into all these other beautiful iconic energies of the divine feminine. And through our personal blessing to have traveled the entire world, all I see is the same eyes. It's the same devotion. It's the same heart. It's the same, every single person we meet at every temple we have gone to. At the end of the day, the oneness is palpable. It's palpable.
All right, let's take a breath together.
Yeah.
So as you expand beyond the physical body and the belief systems that experience the physical body, the next gift is the perception of dogma or religion.
Now, this is number 3.
Number 3.
And I want you to look at that word, the perception of. Just notice how they, and remember, everything she's reading to you are the words of the Esseena brethren. So the perception of, I just really like underlining that.
Yes. Take a breath and just be with this. Allow the information to inform you. This is a great gift. The perception of dogma or dogmatic traditions springs from belief systems that are aligned with the body. And in its basic form, the energy of dogmatic traditions sprang forward from fear.
Now, really breathe that in, because remember, we've been talking about this for a couple of years now. We have actually birthed, due to the collapse of the 4th dimensional frequencies into the 3rd, this fear dimension. It's like this shadow energy has never been in a potentiality before. It's part of what makes this one so unique. And that is because of the strong pull toward dogmatic overlay. This hence goes back to your question earlier about Putin and others. Their dogma right now is the journey. And each being is having their own journey. What's happening is this planetary experience potentiality is out of balance. And that's why the Renaissance is here, because only an ascension Renaissance, enough beings, I am here as a sea of neutrality, is going to be able to assist this one from not having the inevitable culmination that we've just done too many times. We don't need to repeat these culminations. That's why Shri and I are out here with a megaphone saying, hey, this time we came back awake. This time we preceded. This time enough of us remember that we really can make a difference. How exciting is that? Right?
Yeah.
We just got to make it through these journeys.
So you consider this progression
Right?
of wisdom is we have the body, which is an individualized vessel, and that immediately from them spring all kind of beliefs about what is reality based upon that separation,
Yeah.
which isn't the oneness. All right. You get all those beliefs around the body and how the mind works and objects and looking at things. Now let's bring in the dogmatic traditions, which are basically rooted in the fear of the unknown, the fear of death, the what ifs kind of questions. And the purpose is to create peace to the one who is believing they are just their body.
That's really, and that's cool. And remember that all beings, we have all had these lifetimes. We have all had every experience we are witnessing among all that are happening right now. In this moment, this is the lifetime we're having because we were called to this potentiality. But I really want to read this. I think, Shri, this is really fabulous because I think Shri should read just this one quote, and then we're going to give you number 4.
All right, here we go. The gift of a dogmatic religious tradition is that it will, at its core, bring you to your heart.
If you stay with it, if you stay pure in the religion, all of them eventually, because it was about helping people navigate fear while they're alive, right?
So this is the highest service of any dogmatic tradition, inspired and developed from those in body with belief systems. Aligning belief systems with the body, then bringing those belief systems into a form of dogmatic tradition will keep you captive.
Will keep you captive. And this is kind of the oxymoron, is that when you get to a certain moment in any, I remember with SRF, I mean, I was a extraordinarily devoted being. And when I reached a certain point in my own consciousness, the people that ran our local SRF said that was too much for them, that, you know, it was outside their box of dogma, yet Paramahansa Yogananda was certainly celebrating. So it's about the ascended presence, the renaissance of welcoming the expansion of consciousness. Rather than offering hemlock to our prophets, why don't we invite everyone to grow together? Why don't we each become our own prophet?
And so as we breathe in
Yeah.
to the essence that we are all one energy, the essence of a pure heart, no boundary. Judgment dissolves. We are that. Then your freedom arises. And we begin to see all of these individuated experiences as gifts. And so you consider for a moment, having a little mercy on humanity, that thousands and thousands of years ago, primitive cultures, you know, provided great wisdom on the body, how to be with the body, the cycles of the body, and the world became very much earth-centric, body-focused, and those were gifts. And from this alignment, we moved into belief systems.
Exactly.
And then rules evolved, society evolved, and how to get along with each other under this system of conceptual guidelines.
And I really encourage you, if you've not read our book, 2013 Mayan Sunrise, which, believe it or not, is still out there in Kindle, go read it, because we talk a lot about how you are the new priest and how these systems have perpetuated the enslavement of humanity since the beginning. So you might want to check out.
And so the natural step then was, well, who's in charge? So we had to create kings and priests and such. So I that was really quick. Go read this.
Go read 2013 Mayan Sunrise.
You'll love it. Let's go to the fourth gift.
Yes.
All right. The fourth gift. Many beings on our world now have been persecuted for the purpose of religion. Therefore, they are very present on the planet today. And as with every cycle in history, our world is close to repeating a cycle.
Now I want you to just slowly, Shri's just going to read this. We're going to take a breath. So this was back in 2009 when we were first given this information. Then in 2021, last December again. Now, look how quickly we're being invited to share with it again.
Beloved ones, you are literally at the precipice of the repetition. The dark ages were not so dark compared to what could come forward if this cycle now repeats itself. Persecution for the sake of religious tradition is a gift. It inspires many to ask, where is the heart? Where is the humanity? Where is the expression of form that we as beings of infinite light can celebrate with? This is the gift of the cycle. Many who would have not remembered their divine mastery presence will remember through the energy of the repetition.
And that's what's happening, is that enough are finding this show. Share this show. Please share the information. Enough of us are saying yes, and your presence matters.
Yes.
Saying yes to who you are outside of the fear and the doubt and the hesitancy of the victim experience of this world is yours to command. That is the law of instantaneous manifestation. That is the yoga of self-ascension, and we are doing it. You matter.
We've learned how to forget. We took
We're all pretty
birth.
good
We
at that,
learned
right?
how to forget. And so it takes your focused commitment to remember. And so the repetitive cycle literally starts everything again. Many will become at the point of,
Reboot.
what about my body? Where do I eat? Where do I find shelter? How will I support myself? And you can see this repetitive cycle is trying to start again.
And they were talking about how you're already seeing this on the planet. We're already having these things starting to escalate again. Look at what the weather, look what's happening with the flooding, people being displaced, losing the ability to grow food.
And so as we breathe into our own heart center, let us remind ourselves, we came here intentionally to be present for those who would forget their way, and to be present for those who are still mastering these gifts. Beloved ones, you are masters in form.
Yes.
Your sacred essence is bringing you forward ever more greatly. We are here as volunteers in service to. And so many of the ones who took birth as volunteers have forgotten. And as we radiate authenticity, there's no need to be activistic. It's about authenticity, offering love where we're guided to offer love, offering service where we're guided to offer service. We live passionate action and become the seed of activation for hundreds of thousands, if not millions of more beings.
Absolutely.
That is truth.
Yes. So bring a hand to your heart and be filled with the blessing of you. Be filled with the joy for the week ahead. This is your moment. Create and be. Make a note to be with us on the 30th, just for a 15-minute, but very powerful sharing of what's going to be ahead in November in 2023. And for sure, check out ShriAnkara.com. We would look forward to greeting you on a Monday Mastery Exploration.
Yes.
Lots of free articles, lots of things to read. Why not dive into something that will offer your Ascension Renaissance a great smile?
Beloved ones, as we breathe into that truth.
Yeah.
We love you. Namaste.